What's up everybody, Ryan here, out on a service call for this Carrier RTU. Apparently the fire department's been here 3 times in one day. ADT also out here. Apparently this unit is filling up the store with smoke, so they shut it off. 2015 Carrier. We're gonna open it up. The curb looks like it's all dented and bent up. Take a peek at this thing and see what's going on. I'm guessing most likely bad blower motor, but we'll find out. Power's off. I haven't looked at anything. I figured I'd bring you along with me. So first thing I'm gonna do is remove the panels, give this unit a visual inspection, see if I can find any reason for smoke filling up the store. All right, well, first thing I see is a belt off, and it stinks. It stinks, that's for sure. That might be the cause of it. Bet you this belt was just sitting here like this. If I can get it on there and just flapping and flopping around. Now I need to determine, oh shit, look at all these melted wires. They're melted. You got awfully hot in here. Yeah, it got awfully hot in here. All these wires melted together. Let me get my seat here. And those windings look awfully black. I'm wondering if it threw the belt and then just ran and ran and ran and cooked the motor. But you can see it got awfully warm because these wires are all melted. Was there a fire or a heat exchanger? Just I mean, you'd think the safety would kick it off. I'm gonna pull this heat exchanger inspection cover. We're gonna take a peek, because if the heat exchanger's cracked as well, they're just gonna get a blower motor and a heat exchanger replacement. Front plate has some wear to it. Some of the screws are halfway out. I can't tell if this thing's been replaced before or not. Let me pull this, get a good look at the heat exchanger. That's really going to determine whether or not we cycle it any further to see if it's a motor. I'm going to test it electrically, but I'm a little leery to power it up, go from there. But let me go ahead and inspect this, and I'll bring you along. Well, the heat exchanger does not appear to be cracked, but let me tell you, I've never seen this before. This limit switch is in upside down. Oh, it's broke too. Right here's our limit wires jumped out. Look at that. Have you guys ever seen, I mean, who would mount a limit like that? It's supposed to sense down here. So somebody bypassed the limit because it was broke and flipped it upside down for some reason. It never tripped the limit. So this thing just fired and fired and fired and fired, and melted the wires. Wonder if the motor's cooked. We're gonna check. This could have been bad. This could have been really bad. Ooh, that condensate pan is black. Looks like it got awfully hot. I'm gonna get on the other end of this, and we're gonna check the heat exchanger from this end as well. Okay, it looks good. Looks like it did get hot, but yeah, that condensate pan up here looks like it had gotten pretty warm. So we're gonna leave all this open for now. I'm gonna check over all this wiring, make sure we don't have anything melted or rubbed out, but it stinks in this compartment. Oh yeah, look at that. Very, very close to being rubbed out. Let me cut that wire tie and get a closer look at all these wires. All right, so the wires aren't rubbed out, but they certainly got hot enough that it's like melted. You can see all these wires got the indentation of the corner of the blower housing here. Belt came off, limit switch, high limit switch bypassed. This unit never stopped firing. We're gonna need to go through this and just confirm that all the wiring is good. Strictly from the heat, I can see melted wires back here. The motor smells burnt. The windings do have continuity, but just listen to it. So for that alone, I'm writing up the blower motor. I'm also writing up, we need a new limit and it needs to be wired in. Let me show you what a proper limit switch looks like on the other carrier. This purple wire comes all the way down here, and the limit switch is upright with the sensing part of the switch down. So it senses the heat of the heat exchanger. And if it gets too hot, it opens this switch and shuts the gas off, you know, shuts the heat operation down to the unit. Somebody came out here and bypassed that. We've never been here. I checked our system. I've never been here personally. Our company's never been here. Somebody bypassed that limit, and that's a big, 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 big problem. Never, under any circumstances, bypass a safety switch, a rollout, a limit. Not good. Here's your rollout, which I always thought was odd for these carriers, that the rollout is so far away, but apparently it works. I normally see rollouts way up here, but this is the rollout for the carrier. That is the high limit, and it's bypassed, and it almost bit someone in the ass, and it could have possibly caused a serious, even more serious problem than we have here today. So guys, I know I probably don't have to tell a whole lot of you, but if you're watching this video, don't ever think about bypassing a safety switch, limit, rollout, anything. If you got a bad one, shut it off, go get a new one, and do not leave that unit operating. I do want to give this heat exchanger another good look, because it probably, just off the fact that these wires way up here are melted, had to have been incredibly hot. Oh, you're gonna love this. So I'm pulling the filter so I can gather the filter and belt info so we can get it entered into our system. It got so hot, it melted the filter. Do you see that? That filter is melted all the way up at the top. This one and this one. Melted. I've never seen melted filters. Good Lord. These got so hot that it melted the fiberglass. They've only been in since December 1st. So that's 2 months. I doubt they looked like that when they were put in. They're real lucky there wasn't a fire here. A serious one. Look at this. They ran their wire right through the economizer. How's the economizer supposed to close? You just pinch the wires? Unbelievable. Wires run through the economizer. Melted filters. Limit bypassed. Belts off. Could have been real bad. We got to come back and thoroughly go through all the wiring and make sure we don't have any other issues. We need to reroute the wires so they're not running through the economizer. You have to find a different area to run the wires through. You can't just come up through the return. I mean, what happens when this economizer closes? It's just going to pinch the wires. Our DNE, or do not exceed, on this is very low, as it usually is, so I'm not making any repairs today. I'm going to document everything. I'm going to submit it, and we can come back. If I didn't mention, I drove 2.5 hours this morning to get here. May grab a gauge and make sure that it didn't spring a refrigerant leak. I know these 410A systems are rated for high pressure, but it might be worth my while to throw a set of gauges on them just to make sure nothing's flat now. I am going to cycle that one. This motor just smells too burnt. Like, I can smell it from here. It's cooked. I'm not even going to bother applying power to this thing. With what it's already gone through, the heat, clearly the heat was enough to melt these wires. I don't even want to know what it did to the inside of this. I know that it's testing good, but literally, if we had smell-o-vision, I know what a bad blower motor smells like, and it's quite loud. Plus, I want to see what the wiring looks like. So they're getting a blower motor, they're getting new filters, they're getting an in-depth evaluation of this wiring. They're certainly getting a new limit switch wired in and fully operational. I'm going to throw the rollout in too. The limit was the issue. Had the limit been wired in and the belt got thrown, it would have opened the limit switch, I don't know how many times, 3-5 times, but it would have locked this ignition control board out, and then they would have simply had no heat. It would have been a no heat call. We could have came out, replaced the belt. The blower probably would have still run too, but I have a feeling this motor was running non-stop. Obviously chewed the belt up, but the belt was down here when I got here. So I don't think the smoke smell and the smoke that actually filled the store was from the belt. I think the motor cooked. It probably cooked because of the intense heat from the heat exchanger never shutting off. You know, the heat never shutting off. This heat exchanger had to have been glowing red. I mean, glowing red. You can see here that it melted and singed the condensate pan. That's plastic. It melted the filters. It melted numerous wires. I'm shocked that this heat exchanger isn't cracked. That's why I gave it a second look. I can't. Insulation down, fiberglass insulation on the base of the unit, it is brittle. It's dry. Somebody got real lucky here today, or yesterday, or whenever this call came in. Really lucky. And that's exactly why you never bypass a safety switch. Yeah, it's working fine when you bypass it, but once you throw a belt, or once a blower motor quits working, and this freaking heat exchanger, that gas is just cooking in there. You got to have air movement across it to keep it at a normal temperature. And with no limit, this thing could have been real bad. I'm shocked. He said the fire department was here 3 times in one day. I'm shocked they didn't shut it off immediately the first time. It took them 3 times before they shut it off. I don't get it. And it's all because somebody bypassed the safety, a high limit. The wiring, look, it's all up here. It's pulled in here. They did that so it wouldn't get sucked up into the blower. I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna check these contactors. Like I said, we're gonna write up a thorough wiring inspection, pop the lid, look at everything, make sure nothing's melted together. Look at this, they're all stuck together. Look. It doesn't appear that they're melted so badly, but these ones clearly got hot because you can see the indentation of where they rounded this corner. I mean, they're melted all, this wire's melted all, it's brittle. Brittle and melted, and I simply don't have enough money to go through it all right now. It's melted to the plastic. It's all melted together back here. Those wires, they're melted to that plastic safety cover that goes around. So before I fire anything up and apply any power, this thing needs a good thorough inspection of the wiring, period. Smoked. It is what it is. Saturday service call, 2.5 hours away. I'm sure I'm over there, do not exceed, before I even got here. So that's why I'm not doing all this work right now. So that's where we're at on this one, guys. I'm gonna button it up. I'm gonna go over there, cycle that one, check its heat exchanger, make sure it's good to go, and then we'll do the write-up. I disconnected the low volt wires, shut the gas off, and left the disconnect off until we can come back and replace the blower motor, install the proper limits, safety switches for it to operate properly, and give that wiring a full investigation and inspection into the wiring, replace anything that needs it, make sure everything is working properly and good to go. What are the chances this heat exchanger's cracked? I'd say 50-50 actually with these carriers. So I got the power off. We're gonna open this one up, give it a quick look, make sure it heats, make sure it's safe. Maybe the rollout switch is bypassed on this one. I don't know. I got to look at it. All right, well, right off the bat, I've got a compressor plug pulled. Looks like the rollout switch is properly wired. All right, well, it doesn't appear to be shorted to ground. So, I don't know. Plug not taped off, nothing, just hanging there. We're gonna come back and investigate that as well. I think I'll put a little bit of tape around that, but let me open up this electrical compartment, see, maybe we got a messed up contactor or something. This one's in a lot better shape than the other one is, so. All right, Y1 and Y2 are jumped. So clearly something's going on with the AC. Maybe that compressor is locked up, I don't know. But somebody jumped out Y1, Y2, pulled the plug on first stage compressor. Probably so the contactor would pull in, the fan would continue to run while second stage acted like first stage compressor. Possibly. Like I said, I'm not digging into air conditioning today. I'm going to write up that things have been rewired, plugs have been pulled. Maybe it's out of refrigerant. But that would prevent the first stage compressor from coming on unless they bypass the low pressure switch. We got pressure. I don't know, something's going on. Maybe the TXV is bad. I don't know. I'm not running the AC today. I'm not trying to figure it out. We will write up that the AC needs some looking at. So let me continue on here. All right, well, the wiring is nice and flexible. No bitterness to it. The other one is very brittle. No brittleness to it, not bitterness. But the motor bearings in it are sounding not good. We'll recommend a motor on that one. I'm gonna check this heat exchanger, because if I said our chances are 50-50, the one that was probably glowing red seems fine. This one's gonna have a crack in it. We'll see. This one is good. I mean, it's got some little bit of rust buildup, but not cracked, not rotted out. The front plate, of course, is starting to rust and rot out. What is that? You see that heat mark over there? Almost looks like somebody was working with a torch on the other side. And I bet you any money somebody was doing some soldering in here in their torch. Oh yeah. I can't see. I don't know. Probably got hot from when they were brazing in the TXV. All right. Enough dicking around here. This one's gonna get a blower motor, recommended. We'll cycle it in heat. I already gathered the belt and filter info, as you can see here and here. Cycle this one and go get some lunch and head home. 2.5 hours home. So I've got 5 hours in driving today. If you guys aren't doing anything on Saturday nights, me and Jennifer are talking, the Misfits of HVAC podcast. I go live every Saturday on YouTube. Should stop by, say hello. Anyway, I'm gonna cycle this one. I'll bring you back for that, and then I think we're gonna be wrapping it up soon. All right, well, apparently this one has no power. I've got the disconnect on. I went to jump out W, nothing. So it keeps getting better and better here. Nothing, nothing, nothing. All right, well, why don't we have power? No fuses. We just confirm that we don't have power here and maybe have a bad disconnect. I doubt it. I'm wondering if the fire department shut off the breaker, but they shut off the disconnect up here. Yeah, I got no power coming up from the breaker. All right, well, let's go find out why. All right, it's saying here RTU1 is off, but I think they're either mislabeled on the roof or in the panel because it's not tripped. It's just off. Let me go ahead. 19, 20, 23. That's this one. It wasn't tripped. This one's on. I think they flip-flopped them, possibly, you know, mislabeled. So power restored. Let's go cycle unit 2 on the roof, unit 1 in the breaker panel. All right, I'm assuming the fire department shut off breaker 1 as well. Disconnect on unit 1 was here. The breaker panel was marked 1, but it's actually power in unit 2. So I think it was just a miscommunication with the labeling. I don't know. I labeled them the same way they were labeled on the roof, but they're just flip-flopped in the panel, so no big deal. All right. I think we dodged a bullet there. I thought maybe the breaker was tripped and we had some other major issues, but I don't think so. I tested everything to ground to see if it was shorted to ground. See, this one's marked RTU2, but the breaker was marked RTU1 in the panel. So I'm just gonna confirm that there's power real quick. I'm sure there is. And we'll go from there. And like I said, I tested everything right here to ground. Nothing's grounded out. While I got the power off, I'm gonna put a little bit of tape around that plug just to prevent water from getting into it if it hasn't already. That's another thing. If you're ever pulling a plug, wrap some tape around it, guys. But we're talking about the same guy who probably bypassed the high limit and almost burnt that unit in this building to the ground. Look at that. That's good. Alright. I'm not even going to check for voltage in the disconnect. I'm fairly confident that that was the right breaker. And there we go. I'm just standing back because the breaker was off. And like I said, everything tested good, but you never know. You never know. Let this thing kick on totally before I approach the unit. Waiting on the blower motor. All right, nothing went boom. I feel a little better about it, so now I'm gonna get up here and take a peek. Looks good to me. We're gonna recommend that blower. I got all the info, pulley size, blower size, and we'll go from there. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for this one. If you liked the video, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon. That'll notify you anytime I got a new video coming out. Leave me a comment, hit like. Hopefully I see you over on the Misfits of HVAC YouTube channel checking us out on Saturday nights. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you on the next one.